Got it.
But anyway, thanks to everybody for being here. The Hoover Board of Education meeting is now called to order for December 10th. If you would, please join me in a moment of silence or a moment of prayer if you so choose to do so. Obviously, I'm going to pray for our children's safe return and vacation to come back to school. Thank you for our administrators and hope they all stay safe. We need everyone. So. Thank you. Ms. Madonna? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Tyson. Too many Amy's.
Salute. Pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll establish the quorum. Please call the roll.
Deanna Bauman. Here. Craig Howell.
Here.
Kermit Kendrick. Amy Madonna.
Here.
Amy Tyson.
Here.
The quorum's been established. Mr. Kendrick is out of state on business. He sends his regrets, and as always, we miss any board member that's not here. So he apologizes for not being here tonight.
We have recognitions. We'll have Jason Gaston share with us. With the approval of the agenda. Sorry, I jumped way out there, didn't I? Board members would like to request the approval of our agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Thank you. Mr. Gaston, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I know some students are walking in right now, so good timing. That traffic must be clearing up out there. We will begin with a couple of points of order here. Photos in the lobby. We don't have that backdrop tonight. We've got our holiday display, so we're fortunate to have Iron City Studios with us tonight to be taking some photographs. So after the presentations, if we would filter into the lobby for official photographs. The proclamations are uploaded to the Board of Education section of the website. First of all, we want to recognize Computer Science Education Week. And we have a very short 70-second video that I will play right now. Oops. I will play without sound. Hang on. Never mind. It worked in test mode this afternoon, I promise you. Well, in respect of everyone's time, I will post this on our website. But you can see right here, this was River Chase Elementary School today with RC3's Cyber Innovation teacher, Pam McClendon, if she'd be making her way to the front. They did some coding at River Chase Elementary School. The RC3 students went over and helped next door at River Chase Elementary School. This right here, some of our math specialists were upstairs in what we call our tech room doing some coding. This month is Computer Science Education Week, the month in which we celebrate it, and you've all heard the phrase Hour of Code. So it's a very important week. We wanted to bring Ms. McClendon here to share a couple of words about the importance of that and how students respond to it.
Good afternoon, everybody. First, that was embarrassing, that picture up there. Second, so Computer Science Education Week is really important because right now our state is in the process of making sure that we increase computer science because we're behind. And so starting this effort, having our high school students come to the elementary schools and middle schools, hopefully we can get a grasp on this really quick so that when they make it to RC3, we really can be producing students who are able to go straight to work when they leave RC3. That is our goal, and this was our first year, but next year we want to make it even bigger and better.
Mr. Gaston, while we were making reference to our RC3 students going to River Chase, I want to have Dr. Turney just stand up for a moment. She has something really important going on right now in her school. She has Cognia at her school looking at the possibility of STEM certification. If she is successful, and we have every reason to believe that she will be our second school to be recognized as a STEM accredited school. Delia Swate, a principal at Rocky Ridge, led that way, and Dr. Attorney's not about to let anybody get too far in front of her, so she is chasing her. I appreciate your initiative, and I appreciate the energy of you and your faculty as you're working toward that certification. Thank you.
It's great when we have people to support us here at Central Office, and our parents and students. It's a great place to be, and just thankful to be there. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay, our second and final proclamation of the evening relates to Special Education Day, which was actually December 2nd this year, and then 3 small bullet points there. This surrounds and coalesces with IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, established in 1972. It's a law that makes available a free, appropriate public education to eligible children with disabilities. IDEA governs how states and public agencies provide early interventions, special education, and related services to an estimated 6.5 million eligible children across the U.S. And here to accept that proclamation is Ms. Claire Jones-Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Gaston. I'm so excited that we are able to recognize our students. We have approximately 1,334 special needs students in Hoover, and we serve ages 3 through 21. So of that 6.5, 1,334 students are here in Hoover. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have we always love when we partner our 2 high schools together, Hoover High School and Spain Park. If Mr. Westcable and Mr. Craig Thompson would come up, we've had some tremendous success at the state mock trial competition. And I believe both of your teams are being catapulted to some national tournaments, and I will let them explain that.
The state mock trial tournament takes place each year at the beginning of November, the first weekend in November in Montgomery. There were approximately 630 students participating from across the state this year. It whittled down to the final trial on Monday morning, and the final trial on Monday morning pitted these guys against those students. The Hoover top defense team in the state went against the Spain Park top prosecution team in the state, and in a very spirited contest, Spain Park students won. And we're very, very proud that both of the final teams were from Hoover City Schools. We're very grateful for the support. We have some of the students here tonight that participated in that final. Recognize, please, that there were 31, I think, students from Hoover High, and you had, I don't know, about 60 students from Spain Park that participated in the tournament. In the final rounds, can we stand up our students that did participate? We have most of them that were here. Some of them are still in traffic.
While they're coming up, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
is the final trial, or any of it videoed? I'm sure it's something.
It's on that Alabama Youth and Government Facebook page, and so if you scroll down just a couple of spots, their trial is visible.
What was the case?
The case was a vehicular manslaughter case where a distracted driving person got into an accident, and unfortunately it was a fatality, and these people either prosecuted the guy at the driving seat or got him off.
I think my colleagues and the staff will tell you, my lost career would be law. If I could go back in time, I'd do what you're doing, so congratulations.
Great job.
Shake hands.
Our students that are here tonight,
Congratulations, fantastic. Sorry.
Good job, Saul.
our students that have made it through the traffic.
Good job. You just give up. Great job. Thank you so much. Great job.
Our students from Hoover High that are here, Anna Claypool, Isabel Torres did not make it yet, Kareem Panjuani, Brady Coltrane, Justin Laporta, and Nadeem Jabbar, or Jaber.
And ours are Vincent Indovina, and Morgan Patrick couldn't make it. Dominique is in traffic, Anna Kate Morris, Megan Miles, and Jake Wilson is in traffic. And then, as a result, both of these teams will represent the state of Alabama at 2 different national competitions. Over the summer, Hoover will represent us at the national judicial competition held in Chicago, and then the Spain Park team will represent us at the National High School Mock Trial Championship in Evansville, Indiana, in May.
And again, we thank the board and we thank the school system for the support that enables us to enable these kids to do all the hard work that they do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Murphy, Board of Education, that concludes our recognitions. Thank you for this time. And if everyone who was recognized tonight or received a proclamation, if you would head to the lobby. Thank you.
Board members, it's certainly nice when we take spot number 1 and spot number 2. So proud of our sponsors, our students. Awesome work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Grateful to you. Board members, we have next public comment.
Does anyone from the public like to speak, or I guess anyone for that matter? That man right there is right after you. You can come on up. Somebody's moving on.
Very rare thing to actually speak in public. Board, how you doing? Y'all know I'm Steve McClinton, and I serve on the Schools Foundation. Just want to give you an update. As y'all know, we have temporarily we have an interim director, that's Ms. Shelley Shaw, and she's been outstanding for us. 3 updates. We've just now recruited 4 new board members. Dr. Lamar, Dr. Swati, Dr. Jeter were excellent in helping us in finalizing our applicants, and they'll be great board members for us going in the future. Number 2, we have hired a national grant writer. It's pronounced Azimuth. This organization is about 10 years old, and they've acquired about $62 million over the past 10 years for numerous entities. And the board wants to let you know that these grants that we're applying for are not just for the foundation, but for the district as well. And I think, and we hope that as the months go by, that we will be able to come up here and present you guys a fat check. We'll see what happens. And last but not least, our Denim and Dining is going to be April 3rd at the Stardome Comedy Club. That's on a Friday night. And for all those who want to know, it is not on any prom weekend at all. So we had only one weekend to pick it. The one weekend is Spain Park, one weekend is Hoover, and we can't have it on Easter. So that's when it's going to be. So we're looking forward to that, and looking forward to give you some more good news. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. As always, we're appreciative to Steve and to our entire foundation, and we're excited about a grant writer too, and the ways that we can take advantage of having that person support us. Thank you. Board members, next we have our action items. We have minutes of our regular board meeting November 12. I request your approval.
Do you have a motion to approve the minutes from the prior board meeting? Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have our personnel report. It includes 9 appointments, 3 requests for change of status on leave, 4 transfers, 9 leaves of absence, 9 resignations, and 1 termination. I recommend your approval of the personnel report.
Board members, you got in front of you the personnel report for the December 10 meeting. Do I have a motion to accept as recommended? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? This passes. We accept it.
Thank you. Business action items, I'm going to ask Michelle to make her way. She'll be sharing with us the monthly financial statement, cash disbursements, both of those for October, payroll for November.
Welcome board.
That's okay.
Cash disbursements for October 2019 were $6,955,290.67. Payroll for November 2019, $8,557,786.56. The monthly financial statements will find attached the summary and general purpose financial statements for the month ended October 31, 2019. For FY20, 5.4% of budget revenue has been received for the month ended October 31, 2019. The results of operations represent 1 month of activity. Accordingly, we would anticipate having spent approximately 9% of the budget for recurring expenditures. At this time, the general fund expenditures are 7.7% of that budget. For the 1 month of activity, the current month's reserve is 7.17. This will increase as ad valorem tax collections are received. In October, we saw an increase in the purchase of instructional materials at the local schools. That is due to the state allocation of classroom instructional material funds and our local allocation of principal discretionary dollars. Special revenue fund expenditures for 1 month of activity were $2 million, or 9.9% of the budget. Remember, the majority of federal funds are expensed during the school year for the students and are requested for reimbursement 1 month later.
Board members, I request your approval of the monthly financial statement as presented, the cash disbursements, both for October and our payroll for November.
Do I have a motion to approve as outlined by Dr. Murphy in the business section?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
While Michelle is still standing here with us. Board members, you have before you as an actionable item this evening a job description, and that is for accounting manager. As you know, we've had some turnover in our CSFO office, and so what we did was to take advantage of this point in time to be able to get our job description to better align with the work and the needs and the expectations of our CSFO. I generally share with you job descriptions and say please review that and ask you to vote on it the subsequent month, but I'm asking you to break that protocol if you would, because we really do need to fill this position. Michelle is carrying a great deal on her wagon right now, and we really need to get this position filled. We took liberty of posting the job. We did that because we can post a job and not fill it. We can't fill it if we didn't post it. So I do want to tell you I presumed a little bit in that we went ahead and posted it just because time is of the essence. And so would love to be able to fill this position and have this person ready to go to work when we come back second semester on or about January 7 would be our ideal start time. So again, I respectfully asked if you would consider this job description. Michelle has been obviously vested in this process, and this is the job description we have before you and ask your approval.
And the board, we can ask questions if we get a motion in a second. Do I have a motion to accept the position of county manager as outlined by the superintendent?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions for Ms. McKay or for the superintendent on this position? I'd like to comment how well the team has worked just since I've been on this board, which is accumulating some years now. So I'm sure we hate to see Ms. Meadows leave. She did a great job for us, and we want to thank her for her service. Hope we get to do that in public. And thank you, of course, for the job you do. I'm sure you'll be very particular about who replaces as well. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank y'all very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have before you this evening, board members, some obsolete textbooks. I talked to Ms. Whitney Cook this morning, and she tells me that these are so obsolete that we'll not be able to get any cash value for these. This is simply a request for these obsolete textbooks to be recycled. I recommend your approval of these obsolete textbooks.
Do a motion to declare obsolete textbooks obsolete with no salvage value?
So moved.
I guess that's right, second. Okay, are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, you're obsolete.
Next, you have before you the school calendar for 21-22. We have shared this calendar with you, gave you the results of our stakeholders, and what Dr. Simmons has now done is provided you a draft of what school day start, school day end, when are those tests. There is a place where I need to point out to you so it isn't a question later, and that is on May the 25th, and that is in 2022, so we're thinking forward. That puts Spain Park High School and Hoover High School's graduation on the same evening, with one of those being at 5 o'clock and the other at 7:30. Dr. Simmons, do you want to add to that?
I'll be glad to.
Because it looks like they have questions. I
Yes.
want you to
That's
take
gonna be my
So-
question, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Montgomery and Mr. Jean Grosso worked together on this. The problem was Hoover High School's graduation is typically on that Thursday, but that would be 2 days after the student's last day and 1 day after the teacher's last day. Mr. G looked to see if he could change his graduation date the week before or the week of the student's last day. There was no other date available other than the date that he had, May the 25th. Mr. Montgomery did the same thing. He checked to see if there was any date that was available other than the 26th or the 25th, and the 25th was the only other day. So we were kind of in a dilemma, but they worked together and collaboratively decided that one would have the graduation at 5 o'clock and the other would have graduation at 7:30. Mr. Montgomery even tried a Saturday, and Saturday was not available. So,
You guys can get it done, all right? Mr. Montgomery and Mr. Jenkins.
Let's see, we'll be going
We'll have a police
art.
escort though, so.
Yeah,
Right.
the concern is for parents or family members who may want to get to both of those locations, and how easily that works through traffic between that 5 o'clock and 7:30 time frame.
and Spain Park's graduation is held at Sanford's Arena, and Hoover High School's is at UAB's Arena. So,
It's not too far.
right.
And our parents are gonna be okay with this, right? What else was I gonna say? I wish I'd have had mine at 7. Why'd they get to do that? So, do we need to have a competition about that first?
I'll say this, we look at those times real closely. The parents will have, if they want to go to both of them, they'll have a little over an hour to get from Sanford to UAB. So, we really think it's very doable because the two locations are close, and it'll actually be a little easier to park at UAB at that later hour than it is like when we normally have our seniors report there. So we think it's very doable.
When will the doors open? Because I know, just in years past, there's a line out that door and once you get a good seat. So do you know what time the doors would open then for Bartow?
If
Is
memory
it
serves
usually
me-
an hour?
Yeah, if memory serves me right, for 7 o'clock start, we opened at 6, so I guess it would be 6:30.
I can't imagine there's too many that are traveling to both anyway, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Thank you. So board members, I do want to ask you to approve our 21-22 school calendar with that understanding that we do have that graduation on the same evening. Just wanted to point that out. I think that's fair to say publicly.
Sure.
So is this showing that?
Where's last day? Green's last day, and then teacher mark day, green.
Okay, so it's good that, it's just not highlighted because we didn't approve that, okay. Okay, a motion to accept the
21-22.
2021-2022 calendar? Second?
Second.
Okay, are there any questions? From the audience? Speak up, parents. I know they're not here. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? This will accept it. Thank you.
The next item on the actionable items is that of bid 2020-02. This is, supply of uniforms and equipment for Hoover High School's athletic departments. And you have in front of you those, the sole bidder was BSN Sports using Under Armour products. And I request the board's approval of this sole bidder. My recommendation to you.
I have a question first. I'm going to ask you, Ms. McKay.
Yes, sir.
Is this a sole source bid?
Yes,
This
sir.
is a competitive bid?
It's a competitive
I
bid.
just want to make sure.
She said
Just
sole
happen
bidder. She
to
said
be
she had
only one bidder, sole
She said
bidder.
one bidder, not sole source.
Yeah, not sole source.
She just meant there was only one.
I'm sorry, I'm sure you said.
One bid
correctly.
received.
Okay, so the bid number is 2020-02. Board, do I have a motion to accept the bid 2020-02, which is for Hoover High School athletic teams? Yeah, that's it.
Uniforms and footwear.
Uniforms and footwear?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the bid's approved.
This is a one-year bid?
It's a one-year bid, but we have the option to continue for up to 4 more.
Okay.
Without vote,
Without a vote, yes, sir.
and we have the, who's we?
We, Hoover City Schools, the Board of Education, yes, sir.
Okay. Next, we have fluid cooler bid. And this is for fluid cooler and loop piping replacement. As you all know, we've talked about having upgrade to our HVAC system. This is our upgrade project. I request your approval of the lowest responsible bidder, which is Trinity Contractors. And the 3 schools to be the beneficiary of this will be Greystone, Shades Mountain, South Shades Crest. The lowest responsible bidder was $860,000. I request your approval.
I have a question, but we'll motion. Do I have a motion to accept the bid on the fluid cooler bid?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Matt or Wes, please tell me a little more about this. What about the
This
schools?
is the cooling tower replacement at all 3 of those schools Dr. Murphy mentioned. They're at the end of their life. So really just going in, replacing the piping as well as the actual cooling towers themselves. This is ahead of a bigger project that we're working on now regarding control. So this is just a cooling tower replacement at those 3 schools.
So you said another part of the project. This is not the R22. This is not the,
No.
nothing to do with that, but that's, whatever you're doing here is going to comply with, or,
Yes, going forward. They're at the end of their life. They're 25, and in best case, I think the youngest one is 25 years old. So they need to be replaced.
so these cooling towers will work, but we do have to go back and replace the gas systems.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Request your approval.
Okay. Motion?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes. Thank you.
Thank you. And then lastly, under actionable items board, we have a memorandum of agreement with the city of Hoover for security camera access. I want you to know that we've spent multiple months looking at this agreement. Some of the folks that's been at the table, Melissa McKee with our law firm, Alan Rice with the city, Linda Moore with 911, Jason Cope, IT with the city, Police Department's been at the table, Brian Phillips has been at the table, Wes Wilbanks has been at the table, Matt Wilson's been at the table, Dr. Simmons. And so what you have before you is a memorandum of agreement between our school district and the city of Hoover. The purpose of this agreement is to allow the city to have timely access to any available live security footage that the first responders would need in order to be able to evaluate any conditions at our school that might affect the health or safety of our students. So I want to tell you what has kind of kept us at the table and kept this discussion going, and that is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA. We have to be very careful just having cameras of our students and people having access to that. And so we have walked all of those steps to ensure that FERPA will not be violated. This is access for our city only to the extent we're having an emergency and they need to be able to pull our cameras up in real time to see really what's going on down a hall or in our buildings. And so I do want you to know that great thought and attention has been given to this to ensure the rights of all of our children to privacy. But safety and security certainly is one of those things that we have to be thinking of all possible best ways to save moments of time. And this should allow us to be able to do that. So I do request your approval of this memorandum of agreement between our school district and the city of Hoover, with all attorneys and city officials and us being very okay with where we find ourselves in this agreement.
Has the council dealt with this yet? Is there an action by the council, Hoover City Council yet? Do we know?
It has not. Mr. Rice has agreed, has reviewed it with his team, but once the board approves it, then it will move to the city.
Very good. Okay, does everybody understand? I'm sure you do. We'll give you information. So, do we have a motion to accept this memorandum of agreement with the city of Hoover as it respects the privacy of the children as well as takes care of the security in our schools?
So moved.
Second? Do you have any questions of anyone? We have our SROs here, our sergeants they are familiar with how it works in the schools, what the officers can look at. It is confidential information video. It's needed for security in the schools, so I'm sure you've been there and watched. They're up to speed on what it takes. I'm looking at our sergeants, so sorry. You can't see them. So again, thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That agreement stands to our side. So.
Very good. That's important. I appreciate that. I've asked Dr. Lamar just to give us a quick update of our equity forum. We had a meeting last week. We had a couple of guests in the district with us. Board members, you were the beneficiary of their wisdom and knowledge as they work with you through whole board training, and find it appropriate to just bring others up to speed.
Absolutely. And the equity forum actually went very well, had a lot of great feedback from parents, and I will tell you they were very pleased once that timeline was put in front of them. Many of them asked a question. One of the questions that were brought up from parents was how we're going to get this information out to individuals. And Mr. Gaskin has already set up an equity educational initiative page on our website, so you can go there in real time and see what has taken place, what is done, what has been done in the past as well, and what we're planning to do. So that's a place that he's also planning to send an email, a text message out to all the parents where they can click on that link in their cell phones, and it'll take them directly to that location. You will be able to see tons of work. You'll also be able to see some video footage as well, news footage, in terms of all the initiative the district has done as it relates to Equity and Education Initiative. One of the things I think that was very powerful coming from our parents was they were very pleased that the central office, that the board, and also the superintendents have been very supportive of this as well. And as recently as today with Hoover leadership, they were also talking about how that it just takes courage from that angle. And Dr. Elam, Dr. Roberts, the two experts that met with you all as well, have been very complimentary of the school system and the work that the district has done thus far. So overall, just great feedback that we have received on the initiatives that the district has done.
Very good. So,
Dr. Lamar is doing an outstanding job of leading this work with us, along with all of the central office who's playing a part and a role in this. And board, thank you for choosing your whole board training to be about equity also. I think that we're modeling our expectations of all of us to be thoughtful about equity, inclusion, and diversity in our district. So thank you for being willing to do that. Okay, let's see. Board members, I bring your attention to a School Fiscal Accountability Act statement, please, for your review. And next, I'm going to ask Mr. Brian Phillips if he would come forward. I lost Phillips for a second. If you would come forward and share with us. This is annually an expectation of us, and he's going to share Children's Internet Protection Act with you.
So there are three big acts that we have to, that we need to make sure that we're compliant with every year. Dr. Murphy mentioned the first, FERPA. There's COPA. COPA is actually how software companies and vendors deal directly with what our kids see. And then there's SIPA, and SIPA is the Child Internet Protection Act. That's how we protect our children and how we educate our children. Those are the two pieces that I need to talk about for compliance. First of all, we have several devices in place that monitor all of our kids' traffic and pay attention to what they do and what they see. And then the second part would be that we are a common sense certified district, and all of our schools are certified themselves. They all go through the curriculum to make sure they understand what they should and should not do. And that's our compliance. So, any questions?
Thank you for the job you do. I don't know how many nights you've spent, your staff has spent when something security, I won't say breach, but a concern comes up where laptops.
You can say breach.
The time spent by your staff and yourself making sure the safety of our children, what they see, and the amount of just man hours that you guys spend is probably not on the time clock for you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Ron, thank you. He and Kelly and that team are just awesome. Appreciate all of you. Board members, our next regular board meeting happens in 2020 on January the 14th. I would also like to remind you that on January 21 we'll have a community meeting. Dr. Lamar and I and Dr. Elam and Dr. Roberts, when they were visiting with us, talked about that community meeting, and we want to carry our next two community meetings out to perhaps our multifamily communities, and actually go to those communities and hold some of our community meetings there so that they can be present. Many of our families may not be able to come to one of our schools in the evening or the Met Church in the evening, so we're going to try to take a couple of meetings out to multifamily dwellings, to our apartment complexes. So we're trying to decide which of two. We have multiple ones throughout the district. And it may be that we add some additional community meetings as we see a need to expand that. But our next two in the spring, or after the first of the year, we'll go out into our communities and see how we can hear those voices that we may not be hearing. So we look forward to that opportunity also. And then I want to ask that we take a look at our calendars, and I may need to run in and get my phone. We really need, thank you, we really need to go out and visit Bluff Park Elementary School, because as you know, we have on our capital outlay taking down some parts of that building, discussions about how we renovate and focus on other parts of that building. And Matt and I would like to have time to walk that area with you, so it's not as easy to talk about and show you a visual, I don't think, as it is for us to just go out there, walk it, look at it, talk about it. I would like to ask that you do that with us if you would. So if we could look at calendars and think about when we might do that.
You're looking in January?
Matt, I'm thinking January just because we want to try to begin that. You tell me, kind of what's the time frame in your mind?
I was hoping to get some from y'all for an opinion on how we go about it, to get something back to the board by January. But if we push that to February, that's fine. We can meet in January after the first of the year. I was hoping to meet before the end of this year, if at all possible.
So you would like the board to maybe go out there and do something?
Yeah.
But that's fine. I mean, some of us went out last year and went all through it, so.
Right.
Yeah, so let's look at the next couple of weeks. So the next week and few days, is that a possibility in your schedules? Shall we look at next week as in?
What is next week? We're doing something on it. Is it the 18th?
The
groundbreaking.
Yeah, we have the groundbreaking on Wednesday at 10. Should we kind of load it up and head toward Bluff Park that day, or is that?
That's good for me because we're already together, so I can't speak for you guys.
Yeah.
Mr. Kendrick, I know your schedule gets complicated sometimes. Yeah, it's giving him a headache.
Yeah.
That's the 10.
Look like I'm good for 10 o'clock. We'll just have to play the rest by
Okay.
ear.
Okay, thank you. Well, we'll plan that, just toward the Bluff after the groundbreaking. So on the 18th, on about 11 o'clock or so, we'll head that way.
All right, thank you.
There's a nice little restaurant up there on the bluff too. Meat and threes are really good.
I would like to talk about a retreat at some point, whether we do that now or whether we do that at the next, because I'd like us to do that in January.
Do we want to talk about that now, Ms. Tosman?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay.
I'd like to have a retreat with all of you in January.
Okay. Want to start throwing out some dates? And
I don't care. Kermit,
I'm looking.
how you looking?
January is a disaster. I'm not gonna be here on the 14th or the 21st already, so. Which we can talk about later.
So you're traveling that might a lot?
I'm on the West Coast on the 21st and the 14th, I'm in DC. These are short trips. I have great leadership sitting here at the table.
Yeah, but I want you there. No, I'd like all of us to be there.
Me too.
Holding hands, singing Kumbaya.
When is Martin Luther King Jr. holiday? Is that the 20th?
the 20th.
What
Yes.
about the 17th?
That Friday? Works for me.
It's good for me, and ROTC at Hoover has their awards on the 16th, so if you happen to be in town on the 16th, we'll go to that too.
17th, is that good?
No, 17th's good, I just
And we
want the
can
chance to
figure out
mention
where?
it.
Or do we- Okay,
Sure. 17th?
let's do it.
Hold the date. Okay, board retreat.
Great.
Do we want to have a January board meeting?
I just need to tell you guys on the 14th, I just said it, I'll be in DC, and on the 21st, I'll be on the West Coast, and I cannot avoid these trips. These are something I can count on. Again, we have 4 board members that can, any one of you 4 can run the meeting.
We can leave it as is for now, and if we need to change it, we can send a notice out.
Yeah, we can notify the public, of course, and it's not required that we have a meeting for me not to be here, of course. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And lastly, board members, I would like to ask you all to consider going into executive session. We do have a need to consider a matter that's viewed as confidential under the Alabama Open Meetings Act. We've talked about these procedures before. As you know, we first need to have our attorney attest that this matter is proper for executive session and thus that we would be exempt from the Open Meetings Act. I have his statement here, but he sits in front of us. Mr. Johnson, would you attest to that?
Dr. Murphy, this is a matter relating to pending litigation, which is covered under the exception provision of the Open Meeting Act, so you're not authorized to take this up in executive session. I'm so certified.
Thank you so much. And so, board members, we need to vote whether to adjourn to executive session. We always do that by a roll call vote. Of course, we need that favorable majority in order to go into executive session, and we need to record those votes in our minutes. So, Mr. President, at this time, it's appropriate to take a motion for going into executive session.
I would like to note for the record too that Mr. Kendrick is here and is participating in this vote. So, do I have a motion to go in executive session as outlined on our agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, do all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll approve to do that. Now, we need a roll call vote. I'm sorry, that was a waste of time, so.
Deanna Bauman,
Yes.
Craig Kelly,
Yes.
Kermit Kendrick,
Yes.
Amy Madonna,
Yes.
and Amy Tyson.
Yes.
Okay. We will not vote and make any decisions in the back outside of the public's eye. We will, Mr. Johnson, do you have an idea how long we'll be back there?
I would budget an hour.
Okay, we'll suggest that we'll be back there an hour. We're not required to come back out here and gavel in. We'll just promise you we'll not make decisions in the back. And we'll come back out here before we leave. Good. Adjourn.
I know, I was just saying that.